What's up, everyone? I'm Phritzy, and this is me talking to myself. So, quick thing on what is talking to myself. It's basically, I guess you could say a vlog, but it's just a diary. Me talking to myself. Unscripted. Not really thinking necessarily about what I'm going to talk about. I just kind of state what's on my mind at the time. In fact, actually, I've thought about this a few times. Sometimes I've sat down and I've had a bit of an idea of what I want to talk about. And like you kind of always sit down and I'm like, oh, what's on my mind a little bit. But sometimes I have like almost like a planned out idea of things I want to say. And sometimes I like there are times that I can come out with something interesting, but other times it feels almost forced. So it's kind of nice to just, like when you pull out a journal, you're not really trying to pre-plan what you want to write in your journal throughout the day. You just, at the end of the day, you're just kind of writing your thoughts, and you're like, this is sort of where I'm at, and hello. And that's the goal of this. I don't always necessarily achieve that goal, but I at least try to aim for that. Funny enough, I've actually tried to make a video since my last one several times, and both times they screwed up after I finished. So I think each of them were around 30 minutes long, like really long, because I was just rambling, which is what I do. And then the first time I didn't turn on the recording for my screen capture, or not screen capture, but the video part. And then the second time the audio screwed up after 8 minutes, so the other 22 minutes plus disappeared. So the last video I talked about kind of how I'm in a place where I'm happy in the sense of not feeling pressured to do stuff. Like, I still have a bit of a block, and I still have this kind of almost like a bit of a dread of like what to do, where to go, trying to balance my life with raising my child and helping my wife, working through my job that I'm not super passionate on, while trying to focus on something I'm passionate about. But then when I get to the thing that I'm passionate about, I kind of just, I lose momentum, or I feel tired, or oftentimes I feel myself kind of drifting off, or I'm scrolling social media. I do that a lot. Whereas at work, I don't do that. It's like I feel like this obligation. I must get this done. So I don't unless I'm on my break. So that's definitely something I need to address. But what I addressed last time was hopefully a good piece of the puzzle of kind of not getting in my own way, which was I was making videos, making content, trying to go after things based on how I felt people were thinking about me. And at least in the aspect of not worrying about when I put out content, and just being like, I'll put out stuff what I want. If I put, 20 videos out in one day for 6 months straight, or one video every 6 months, it doesn't really matter. I need to not get mad at myself. I just need to just show up when I'm ready to show up. Well, on the same hand, I need, like, if I've created time for myself, I need to not procrastinate and look at other things. So I don't think I've completely overcome that, like worrying about what other people think. I feel like that's a huge roadblock, but I've definitely made a reasonable amount of progress. but also been trying to think a lot about where do I go from here? I mean, setting up an office with, you know, some like decent studio, like home studio, like aspects, um, is a good start. Kind of because before I had it in my living room, so I wasn't really separating myself from sort of my home life with trying to work on what I want to work on. But I've had a hard time attaching myself to what I want. Now, if I if you were just to ask me where do you want to go, what do you want to do? It's like I always gravitate towards doing something creative. So it's not a question of I don't actually want to do this. I'm just trying to force myself. Um, in fact, every time I go the opposite direction and say, you know what, I keep finding roadblocks. Sometimes when I find free time, I'm not utilizing my time in the best way. Maybe this creative thing isn't for me. Maybe I should just focus on some other type of job, some office job maybe, or who knows. But I always end up worse for it. So regardless of the fact I have to do something creative, I just, I need to figure out how to kind of like buckle down. Um, that's a really big struggle. I like get really mad at myself and I get really down. And then I see other people who have talent who are focusing on something and they have really good starts, really good beginnings, and then it just kind of cuts off. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I feel like a lot of me getting upset at someone else, like when I think, like, what the hell are you doing? You're wasting your time and effort and all that. I'm probably just projecting. I'm I see myself in them in those moments, and that aspect of myself I dislike because I mean, giving up on something that you started on, that you're passionate on, you have all this creative potential. Why why are you derailing yourself? And it's a hard thing to understand why. I think trying to figure out how to get through that is probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And it's interesting, like having a kid, for example, a newborn. Well, my kid's no longer newborn; he's 7 months now, but he's difficult. He difficult in so many ways, but very rewarding. But it's challenging. You very much have to be there with them. But the thing is, like having a kid, you can't just like turn it off. You don't have that luxury. You can't just be like, okay, I'm here with you for this good amount of period. Now go occupy yourself for a few days as I kind of figure out what I need. The best is you might get an hour if they're really focused on something else or they're napping, but even then, that's a bit of a challenge. Best you got is if your partner, spouse, whoever takes care of the kid, and then you could utilize that time. Whereas with this, there's nothing demanding me to get this done. There's nothing like if I ignore the computer, it's not going to scream at me. It's not going to start crying. It's not going to throw a temper tantrum. So there is a level of like me. I don't get that Like there's almost like a weird feedback loop with my kid. And same with my wife and, like relationships. It's like you neglect those people, you're going to get a negative response. I don't recommend it. Don't do it. Yeah, so I guess it comes a little bit down to accountability, I think. Now that I'm kind of saying it. Sorry, I keep checking back on my computer, on my audio. It's kind of behind the camera where you can't see, but I'm just kind of freaked out that the audio is going to cut out. And I'm going to go on talking for 20 minutes with nothing. Hope you don't mind that. But yeah, I actually... Yeah, accountability. Doing this, especially with nobody looking over my shoulder, nobody telling me you need to do this. My job that I don't love, I feel the need to go to bed early, have a full 8 hours of sleep, or as many hours as I possibly can, prepare myself for the day, eat well, focus all my energy on that. Because I'm being held accountable for my actions at my job. And, you want to deliver because you're getting paid. So you need to put in your end of the bargain. You're being compensated, so you need to put in the work. And I think that's the struggle. I guess that's, like you talk to a lot of people who are starting something new before they're getting paid. Maybe that's what it is. Is like when you don't have the offer of like some kind of compensation. Doesn't need to be money, I guess. I'm not sure. But there's no, again, accountability to anyone. If I become emotionally uninvested for a while, maybe I've hit a spot. Even though I'm super passionate about this stuff, maybe I've hit a few roadblocks that have kind of discouraged me, and I'm like, ugh. Because that happens all the time at work. I come home and I'm like, ugh, fuck this place. I can't stand it. I'm upset. I want to just get out. On the weekends, I'm never talking about work because I'm not interested in it. But this kind of stuff I'm talking about I want to be an actor. I want to do all this stuff. Yet I'm not pushing myself forward because if I don't show up, I don't feel like I'm letting anybody down. I'm letting myself down, which is terrible. But I think it's like I'm so worried about what other people think. So even though my last video, I'm like, I'm in a good spot. And I definitely am in a better spot. Trying to put out videos, forcing videos based on my perceived idea of what people think. Isn't good either. So like not trying to force videos out is a better spot to be. But if I can't even be accountable to myself, then I'm still derailing myself. I'm still not heading in any direction. So I guess I haven't figured that out yet. I guess that's the whole point of these talks is trying to figure out why I'm not doing the things I actually want to be doing. That's a very frustrating thing. To like know what you want or have a relatively good idea. Like, you don't need a certain singular path. You have a relative destination. And I'm not all about like, oh, wait until I get to the top. I just want to be on the path. But every time I kind of walk on a path, I kind of veer off and start walking on a different path that I dislike. So I guess I have to figure out why. It's funny because It's definitely like I have aspects to myself that I am super lazy, and I have other aspects to myself where I'm super hardworking. And I have it reversed on in terms of focus. So I mean, I guess I'm not suggesting that you should be lazy at your day job that needs to pay the bills, but um, I put too much effort into a job I'm not passionate about, and not even near enough on something I really care about. So, a good example is I recently found out that I gave myself a rotary cuff injury. I think I'm saying that right. What that is like the muscle section, joint, whatever, around here. Well, I guess you can't see the shoulder part anyway. Is well injured. So I can't lift my arm up properly. I can't like it's pretty screwed up. And you get it from doing repetitive tasks, and my job requires that. And I've had a lot of periods where I've had to push myself to an extreme level where I'm not taking any breaks at all during the day, and I'm just grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding for no purpose other than some commitment to the job and the people I'm with. I get some level of loyalty to the people you work with, or is a good thing, but I've definitely put too much focus on that, and I'm now injured for it, and I can't even properly sleep at night because of it. And it's funny because if I even put a third, no, actually, really even 10% of the effort that I have at my day job into this, there would be a little bit more momentum. I'd say right now I'm putting in about 1%, 2%. Even sitting down and doing this felt like effort. Now, while I'm doing it, again, I'm good. And I've talked about this in other videos. But maybe because my job, I don't associate my job to who I am. It's just a thing I have to do. So I kind of just compartmentalize it and just do it and then go home. Whereas I associate being creative and being expressive in a unique way as who I am, but also see that I'm not really going anywhere. So it's like reflecting back at me that I'm like a failure. So just why put in the effort? And so it's like this weird negative feedback loop. Huh. Yeah, that's probably it. Cool. Well, I learned something about myself today. I guess that is the next thing I need to figure out is how do I reverse my focus? How do I stop putting so much energy into something I don't like to the point of me injuring myself? I mean, I guess it's not good to injure yourself at doing anything, but it would be better for me to get some kind of injury working at a job that I love. Because at least I feel like, well, hey, at least I love doing it. So yeah, I guess that's a good point to end the video. Not very positive, but I just discovered a little bit about myself, so I feel good. I hope you discover something interesting about yourself today or whenever the next while. And thanks for clicking on the video. I do these once in a while. Sometimes more often than not, sometimes not so often, but videos do come out. So consider subscribing if you feel so inclined. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I will see you in the next one. Peace.